Hello traders and Market Club members everywhere. Adam Hewison here, coming to you from the digital studios of Market Club. Well, we're coming to the end of the week. It was the end of the month for April just recently, and April turned out to be a positive month for the indices, which is kind of surprising given the sharp sell-off that we saw in the last few days. But having said that, we want to look at Tesla today. You can see it's broken over the long-term negative force line right here. You can see it clearly broke out. We have all of our trade triangles, the monthly and the weekly, in a positive mode. You can see the monthly came in at 225.48, currently trading at 222.82. So we think this is an opportunity to buy Tesla. We may see a little bit more of a pullback, but we think the trend has made the turn with a breakout over the negative force line, the trend line, and also our trade triangles going higher. Plus, they announced a new home device for storing power, electricity today. So let's see how that works out. Looking at Apple, which is really kind of a surprising move. Well, a couple of things. We had a outside negative force line right here. Plus, we have seen a sharp sell-off in Apple, unlike anything we've seen recently. A lot of it to do is the problem they're having with their Apple Watch. Now, it's not to say they haven't fixed the problem. It looks like they have, but deliveries are going to be a bit slower than first expected. But you've seen the pullback. Even with the pullback, our trade triangles are still positive, but it is indicating somewhat of a trading range. I would be more inclined to buy it here than to sell it. And here's the situation. We're just slightly below the 50 line. If we see that go over the 50 line, then I think we'll have another shot back up to the 132, maybe even the 134 level. But generally, the trend in Apple continues to be positive. However, we have had this large sort of sideways pattern. You can see how it's just being developed over the months, going back to February. You see just really just this whole area is sort of support. And I think that's getting Apple down here like it was here and here and here. I think we'll see another pop-up on the upside. So let's see how that plays out. Looking at the indices actually closed out the month on a positive note. Not a big change, but certainly it was not a negative month. But you can see the last 4 days very sharply down, trading from a new high all the way down to here. But still, the trade triangles are still positive, indicating more of a trading range. So we may have to regroup here, but I think we'll see another push to the upside. The trend clearly is on the upside, and that's the big trend you have to remember. The S&P cash was actually the 500 was the best performing index, up 0.85% for the month of April. However, it is still in a trading range, sort of a little bit better action than the Dow or the NASDAQ, but nonetheless, you're just at the 50 line. I would say I'd rather be a buyer here than a seller. I think the trend continues up, and I think we'll see the market make new highs. On the Dow is plus 65, a trading range, very similar pattern. We're just trying to inch over the 50 line again, but nonetheless, the trend, the big trend you want to look at in all the indices is the monthly trend right here. That's still positive from 18,244. It's lower than this right now, I understand, but the reality is this, I think, is a buying opportunity as opposed to getting out a selling right here. Now, gold is a different picture. You can see it's I'm sort of disappointed in gold, the fact that it didn't move higher. We sort of rounded out this whole pattern. It sort of came like this, rounding out the top. And you've just taken, if we close down here, you've got this sort of line in the sand, so to speak, but you're closing below that. So you could look from the 1180 up to the 12, let's call it the 1210 level. So $30 lower than where we are right now. So you could be looking at the 150 area, which is right here, that takes us all the way back to these lows. So you're below the 50 line. Things do not look good for gold with all of our trade triangles in a negative mode pointing down. So let's move on. We mentioned the stock before, Cadence, and we still like it. We think it can go higher. It's still right on support now. So 1924 was a buy point. It's 1882. I think the risk on this stock is very, very low. I think if it went below 1780, I think that would not be a good sign. But generally speaking, right now at support on the 50 line, I think we'll see this market do better. Now, this is the euro dollar, and we pointed out this in the copy before. This is a very similar pattern to in crude oil. You have the potential double bottom like this, and then the pivot point. We're going to call that the pivot point, and the move over that level, which is right here, and you see we're off to the races. Now remember, this is when everybody was thinking that the euro dollar was going to go down to 1 parity with the US dollar. We're a little bit overbought, not to worry, but the trend is clearly up, and we think it can continue to go higher, potentially up to, well, you would measure from this level here, the 106 level up to the 110 level. So you're looking somewhere in this area, the 114 to 115 on the euro dollar. This is the pattern we were talking about before. It's very similar to the euro dollar, and this worked out as well. You see the double bottom, the pivot point, very similar pattern in my mind. So I think we've seen the breakout. I think we can still go higher. So if we were talking at these levels here, let's just call that 47, for example, up to a little bit over 55, we call that 56. So about $9 higher from 56 takes you up to about 65. So I think 65 to 67, that would be our target zone for crude oil. So I think the general trend with all of our trade triangles headed higher is the line of least resistance in crude oil is on the upside. Hey, I'm Adam Hewison for Market Club. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope you have an even better weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend, everyone.